next thing we're going to do then is we're going to talk about bending. Now, there's a whole host of different ways that you can bend. And again, I go through all of that stuff in the course, but let's just start with the most common thing, which we'll call a basic bend. So if we were sitting in the A minor pentatonic position, the point of a bend, again, for the most part, there's a million reasons why we might do a bend from an effect kind of standpoint, but from a practical standpoint, let's just understand that a bend is taking a note and bending it to another note, and that note that we're bending to is more than likely part of the scale that we're playing. Doesn't always have to be, but that's a great place to start. So for instance, if I went to the third string of the A minor pentatonic and I went to the 7th fret, okay? And what I want you to notice is I have all 3 fingers sitting on this string right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to do a reverse door opening. I'm going to turn this way now. So I'm still touching over on this side like I was talking about earlier, but I have lots of space on this side. So when I pick that note, I'm going to push it toward the ceiling until I hear 2 frets higher. And see, you've got to be able to hear that sound, and you do over time. You get used to it. So that's what a whole step bend is, a 2 fret or whole step bend. So 7 is becoming 9. Now why 9? Because the 9th fret is another note of the A minor pentatonic scale. So I'm bending from a note of the pentatonic to another note of the pentatonic. So it's like I'm playing these notes, but instead of playing them separately, I'm going, and I'm bending up to it. Okay, so I can bend a note up, and again, I want to practice making sure I'm hitting the right pitch. I remember once a student saying to me on one of my Ibanez gems that has like the flower stuff all over it, he was like, so do you bend to a point in the flower? And it got me thinking, because depending on the guitar that you play, like bends are different. If you play a shorter scale like a Gibson Les Paul or something versus a longer scale like an Ibanez or a Fender, or for instance, if you played a baritone, or you have thicker strings on versus thinner strings, all of those things are going to make the bend feel different. And the distance that you have to bend is going to change. So it has to be your ear. And the greatest way to practice that is just practice getting the sound in your head of what you're trying to target. Okay, don't be in a hurry of trying to put it into application and using it for soloing. Just get used to, how does it feel? How does it sound? Am I getting to the right place? So again, if we're in A minor pentatonic going to the 7th fret with my ring finger, and the other 2 fingers are there to help stabilize. They are strength for me as I turn. So instead of just trying to turn and hold that with 1 finger, I'm using all 3 fingers to push that up in the air. Now, you can go to the 2nd string at the 8th fret, again, pentatonic, where my pinky would normally go. I'm going to put my 3rd finger there and put the other 2 right behind it as well. Now, these 2 are not part of the pentatonic, but it doesn't matter. We're not hearing them. They're just there for strength. And I want to bend the same way. And I can do that on the 8th fret of the 1st string as well. Now, some things you might be thinking, and I'm not trying to go through these way too quick, it's just we only have so much time, but you get the idea of the bend. So the thing that people will ask is, well, why is it that when you go to the 2nd string of the 1st string, where you'd normally play your pinky right there, why are you going to your 3rd finger? Well, the reason is because I have more strength in these 3 fingers than I do in my pinky, okay? Plus, it feels more comfortable for me. But the most important reason is because then I've got my pinky available to do stuff with. I can still use my pinky for other kinds of things. Okay, you've probably heard like, bends like that. Well, I can use my pinky for that sort of thing, where if I was using all 4 fingers to do the bend, that pinky is no longer available to do that. Another question that I get a lot is, well, why are you bending toward the ceiling? Why can't you bend toward the floor? Like a vibrato. Well, you can bend toward the floor, but the problem is if you bend toward the floor, these strings now become useless because I'm actually getting in their way. If I bend toward the ceiling, I can do all those kind of typical licks and things that people usually do for kind of rock, blues rock sorts of things. Okay? So you can see that when I bend up, I've got that allowance on the bottom, but that doesn't mean it always works. If I was on the 6th string and I wanted to do a bend, I can't go up. I'm going to go off the guitar. Right? Then I'd have to go down. You see? Just like reverse, if I want to do a vibrato on the 1st string, I can't go down. I have to go up. So you just have to keep those things in mind as you're learning this.